Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we will be getting cultured with Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush from 1925. Yes, you've heard it correctly. We are today talking about a movie that today turned 100 years old. Well, not actually today, but this year at least. It turned 100 years old. It's the oldest film that I have talked about on this channel already, which is always something really fun. It's a movie by Charlie Chaplin, a fellow we always know, a fellow we have I mean, everybody knows Charlie Chaplin, right? Is there anyone who doesn't know who Charlie Chaplin is? I don't think a guy like that exists. A quick side note for this film: it has been reissued in 1942 with added dialogue from Charlie Chaplin himself, and also some other music, and some scenes were shortened or rearranged to make more sense, to have a bigger comedic effect. I did not watch that reissued version. I watched the original 1925 version, or a reimagined version of that one, because obviously Charlie Chaplin destroyed all of the versions of the 1925 film, but fans and cinephiles and everyone else got together to recreate that iconic 1925 film, and that faithful recreation is the most faithful recreation there is, and that is the one I watched in the movie theater. So I watched the original completely silent film with, of course, music, but no dialogues, only text balloons and anything that you might expect from a silent film. With that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for tuning in for yet another Getting Cultured With. Today we are talking about The Gold Rush. I'm going to talk about 3 fun facts from behind the scenes. I will also talk about the cultural impact that this film had, if this movie is currently still, after 100 years, ranked in any of the top 250 list movies of all time, and to top it all off, I will tell you what I think of this film. With that being said, let's get straight into it. This film is widely regarded as one of Charlie Chaplin's most defining works. It combines both comedy and pathos, but also social commentary and the silent era tramp persona. It combined these themes in a way that elevated feature-length silent films in the cinema 100 years ago. It was also the most expensive film from the silent movie era. It was shot over many months, had incredibly large sets built for it, but also the production time for this was humongous, and I will talk about that later. It helped with shifting the perception of what a comedy film could be, and in what it could achieve in both production values and emotional depth. This film also has a lot of sequences that have become truly iconic in comedy fashion. Think about the boot eating sequence, think about the bread dancing sequence, but also think about the cabin teetering on the cliff sequence. These 3 sequences and many more influenced what a comedy could be, but also silent films in general. Because of how influential it was, it has been to this day been accounted for in studies about film and perception of what film was and how it evolved over time and over a century, and how it is still regarded as one of the greatest films ever, even now, 100 years later. Some fun facts already for you, and I have talked about the production time being insanely long, but the actual production time for this film was 17 months, which was incredible for the time. Actual filming days for this film alone, which is only 90 minutes in length, was 235 days. That's long. For example, getting the boot eating sequence right took 63 takes, and that boot was made of licorice. Obviously, you could not film as easily 100 years ago as you now can today, so they actually built a fake mountain set for this film. They built this mountain set in Hollywood and used it for the snowy exterior scenes that they filmed. But he did shoot for a couple of weeks on location in the Sierra Nevada snow country. The sets he built using wood, burlap, plaster, salt and flour for the snow. And I can see you thinking, a movie that is 100 years old, is that still regarded as one of the greatest films ever made? Well, according to Letterboxd, it's not one of the 250 best movies because it's not on that list. However, on IMDb once again, it is listed, namely on place 205. And one of the best things about The Gold Rush is that there is no direct remake of this film. It's the only film with this story that has been made. However, as I said in the beginning of this video, the movie itself had been reissued in 1942 using voiceover from Charlie Chaplin himself, new musical scores, and some scenes were rearranged to adapt more to a sound audience. The movie has also influenced numerous amounts of comedy films, and it is very popular for restoration projects, which I watched one of. And then talking about what I thought of this film. Well, I had a blast with this one, but mostly due to the audience I watched it with. I watched it in a jam-packed full theater, which was full of old people that were probably still alive when that movie came out. I know that's a joke because that movie is 100 years old and there was no one of the age of 110 or older in the audience, so I know no one was alive when that film was made, which is insane in and of itself. Everyone alive back then when that movie was made is now probably dead. Maybe a few hundred people, but not a lot. Not a lot. Not a fucking lot. A lot of people are alive. From the 7 billion people that are now alive on Earth, I guarantee you not 1,000 were alive when this film released in movie theaters. That's incredible. I think that's incredible, at least. On a sad note, also no one who was in the film is now alive. I checked it, and a lot of the actors actually passed away in and around 10 years after this film. Apart from Charlie Chaplin, who lived for a full 50 years after this one, or 52 years even, which you do well, you do well. I love you, Charlie Chaplin. But that is not what this is about, because obviously I will talk about what I thought of this film. And the thing with the audience I meant is the older people in the audience were absolutely having the biggest blast of their lifetime with this film. They were laughing their asses off at every single sequence. I was one of those people. I wasn't laughing my ass off as hard as some of these older people were, but I was genuinely laughing a lot, especially with that cliff teetering scene where the cabin was on the cliff. That was comedy genius, comedy gold, comedy diamond even. The younger audiences in the films, in the room, in the theater, the ones younger than I am, the ones under 20 years old and the first year film students basically, they were fast asleep. They were not present anymore. They were not living at that point, and when the credits started rolling, which they didn't even do it because, well, of course, it's a 100 years old movie and credits were before the film started 100 years ago and even not so long ago. So yeah, they were fast asleep and they did not really get the movie of itself, which was funny to see, which was maybe the best thing about it. But yeah, okay, it's a silent film. You have to be in for a silent film. You can put a silent film on and always think it's boring, unless you are really in the mood for one. And to get in the mood for one, you have to prepare for it. You can't just say like, today I'm gonna watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or today I'm gonna watch The Gold Rush, or today I'm gonna watch a Battleship Potemkin or something like that. No, no one does that. You have to be in the mood for one of those films. I was in the mood because I was extremely excited to go watch this film, as I had missed a previous screening that had been airing for a week. Around a month earlier, I could not go the entire week, so when this first and only screening that was left aired, I was extremely excited, so I got in the mood for it. Still, I was very tired on the day because I did not sleep that night because of I sometimes can't sleep. So I was very tired, so I had difficulty staying awake, but I think I managed pretty well. I saw all of the sequences. I almost missed the bread roll sequence, but I didn't, which was good, which was nice. So yeah, I laughed my ass off with everything that I saw. The movie also tries to tell the audience a lot of story and a lot of meaning with what it's trying to tell, which is also really great because, well, you are seeing the view on the world from 100 years ago. And the thing that I noticed with this film is, of course, there are a few differences in how people react or how people act on certain things, but most of what they were trying to tell, what they were trying to convey, still holds up today. And I really loved that message through this film, that Even though the poor are poor and the rich are rich, and the poor almost can never be rich, but sometimes miracles can happen, there's always happiness to be found, and that is what this film is trying to convey, in my opinion, which is what I got out of it, and I really love that message. And the film, even though sometimes the topic in it is fairly deep and fairly dark, the movie always tried to find a certain amount of laughter with it, and always try to find to make you joyous about watching it, which definitely works, especially with that devastating scene with the cabin on the cliff. It's insanely funny. It's one of the funniest sequences I have seen in a movie in recent years, so I am extremely happy with how that sequence turned out, how this movie turned out. I do not think it's the best movie ever. I do think silent films are not entirely made for me, so I watched it, I laughed with it, but I never in my life will think it's one of the greatest films ever made. I am going to give this one 3.5 stars. I do think it's one of the most influential movies ever made, and I would encourage everyone to see it once you are in the mood for a silent film. But I think if I talk about silent films, I think I would recommend The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari just a little bit more, or even Nosferatu, the original film, even a bit more, then I would recommend The Gold Rush. But The Gold Rush officially had the most funny title sequence, or the most funny caption sequence that it had, because, well, they did not have dialogue, so they put text to make people say something. And one of those texts was, which took the entire frame, of course, was "I thought Hughes was a chicken." And I don't know why, but that got me. Just an entire title card for "I thought Hughes was a chicken." That was perfect in my opinion. I loved that. With that being said, I want to thank you for watching. Have you seen The Gold Rush? Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this film, and I would like to see you in the next video. Thank you, and bye bye.